Alright, grade 5. So we're going to be looking at a new unit now, and we're moving on to term 3's work. So we're looking at weather. Alright, and this is quite a nice unit for you to be going through, especially if you're home learning. It's a very easy unit. It just requires you to interpret information. So you're going to be looking at things like tables and graphs, and it's pretty much like a comprehension. So you have to look at certain things and then get an answer from whatever you're busy reading through or looking at. Okay, so firstly, when we look at weather, we need to know what is weather. So weather describes the temperature, wind, clouds, and precipitation. Okay, so precipitation is a new word there, and we're going to be talking about that now. But just remember that weather is describing, okay, what the temperature is like. So if you look at this picture over here, this is a day that we've seen many times in South Africa. And if I had to ask you to describe this day to me, obviously we're not physically in the day, but we could maybe say, okay, it's partly cloudy. Okay, the sun is shining, so hopefully it's warm, and it's not too windy because if you look at the cloud cover, the clouds are moving slowly or something along those lines. So you have to use your imagination because it's just a picture, but we have to be able to describe what weather is like. Okay, so if you look at your textbook on page 68, it'll say there, people always like to talk about weather, and they'll say things like, it's very hot today, or it's so dry, I wish it would rain, or the wind was so strong last night that our roof nearly blew off, or it's cloudy and I think it might rain today, or it might not rain today. Okay, and this is how people explain the weather. You would see on the news as well, when you watch the weather, they use certain diagrams like this to explain things like partly cloudy and so on, or whether there'll be rain, etc. Okay, so what's important is know how to describe weather. The second thing was that big word, precipitation. So we're going to look at what is precipitation. So precipitation is moisture from the air that reaches the surface of the earth, such as rain. Okay, so rain is something that we're all familiar with. This is something we've all seen before, and this is one form of precipitation because this is moisture that has reached the earth's surface and is referred to as precipitation. However, there are a few more. So something that we may not have seen in our lifetime before is snow. This is something that you would have probably seen on TV or in movies, or if you've gone overseas or gone to the Drakensberg, sometimes in winter months that they do receive snow, and this is a form of precipitation. The other form of precipitation would be hail. Okay, this is also something that we've all seen in South Africa before. Sometimes it can be large hail or small hail, but it is also a form of moisture that has reached the earth's surface. And then there are two more examples that would be sleet and dew. So, when you come to school in winter and it's really cold and you see all the ice on the grass, that is referred to as sleet. And dew would be just moisture that is not frozen on the grass when you wake up early in the morning. Okay, so that is the three forms of precipitation. The next important heading, and that is on page number 69, is looking at how we measure temperature and rain. Some of you maybe have had one of these in your garden, or you still have one in your garden. This is called a rain gauge. So we're going to look at what is used to measure rainfall. Right, so a rain gauge pretty much will trap the rain as it rains, and then it'll give you an amount in millimeters. So you would be able to say we had, in this case, you'd see here's 5, 6, 7, 8 millimeters of rain, just under 9 millimeters of rain. And then it's important that you read this the next day after it rains, because you don't want your water evaporating out of your rain gauge. Okay, and this would be documented in a book. Some people keep track of the rain right throughout the year, and then they have a whole record of how much it rained throughout the year. And if you want to be a geologist and you want to do these, and this interests you, this is something that you maybe could start with already. You could just start tracking rainfall or temperature. How hot was it on certain days? How cold was it on certain days? And so on. So this is measuring rainfall. The next thing was measuring temperature. And when we measure temperature, we use a unit called a thermometer. Now, this is an older form of a thermometer. This still uses mercury. Okay, and as the mercury warms up, you'll see that it'll start to increase on the thermometer. In South Africa, we use degrees Celsius rather than degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, and there is a certain rule, well, not a rule, but we do use this in South Africa to describe whether it's a warm, hot, cool, or cold day. Okay, so firstly, if the temperature is above 25 degrees Celsius, so that would be around about over here. If it exceeds that, we would say that that is a hot day. Okay, anywhere between 20 degrees Celsius and 24 degrees Celsius, we would be referred to as a warm day. And anything between 13 degrees Celsius, that's all the way down here. Okay, sorry, let me just find 13 degrees Celsius, and 19 degrees Celsius would be considered cool. All right, and a temperature below 12 degrees, so anything here and below 12 degrees Celsius would be referred to as a cold day. Okay, so if you had a look at this thermometer, we can see there that it is on 20 degrees Celsius, so therefore this would be a warm day. All right, so anywhere between 20 and 24 would be a warm day. If it had to drop under that 24, then it would be more on a cool side of day rather than a warm day. Okay, so I hope that this makes sense, grade 5s, because this is very important for the next activity. In activity 1, we'd ask you to write your answers in a notebook. It says to look at the 3 thermometers labeled A, B, and C. So you'll find this on page number 69. All right, and you have to read the temperature on each thermometer. So this is what I meant by being comprehension based. So you need to be able to look at the thermometer. If you need to use a ruler and put it in line, sometimes it will be in between, and then you have to just count there and see exactly what the temperature is. Remember to always write degrees Celsius, all right? So you always have to write this symbol after you write the temperature, okay? Because I'm sure your maths teacher has told you before, you always have to write the unit. Otherwise, we don't know whether it is donkeys or cows or sheep or degrees Celsius, all right? So grade 5s, don't forget that, because you could lose marks if you forget to write the degrees Celsius. Another important thing, always read your new words. Okay, so in this case, you've learned what is weather, what is precipitation, and we spoke about the 3 different main types of precipitation. Right, what is temperature? So that's a measure of how hot something is. Okay, and then your new word being a thermometer, and this is an example of a thermometer, and this is an instrument used to measure temperature. Okay. You're probably familiar with the newer thermometers, especially now when we're going into shops. They want to take our temperature and they're using something like an infrared thermometer. It's pretty much the same thing. All right, this is just a bit older, but it does the same thing by telling you the temperature. All right, grade 5. So you're doing an excellent job. You just keep up the hard work. Activity 1 is all you need to do for geography this week. You also have a bit of history work that you need to be doing, but you just keep up the hard work. I'm extremely proud of you. And hopefully I will see you guys soon. Right.